Good morning, All Souls. Good morning. Good morning. All right. My name is Kirsten Lodel, and you are welcome to call me Kiki. I use she, her pronouns. I am your new congregational care coordinator, and I am so honored to be leading you in worship today. Our chalice lighting this morning invokes the prophetic words of the great James Baldwin, who would have turned 100 on Friday. In the closing lines of his 1964 essay, Nothing Personal, Baldwin writes, "For nothing is fixed. Forever and forever and forever, it is not fixed. The earth is always shifting. The light is always changing. The sea does not cease to grind down rock. Generations do not cease to be born, and we are responsible to them because we are the only witnesses they have. The sea rises, the light fails, lovers cling to one another, and children cling to us. The moment we cease to hold one another, the moment we break faith with one another, the sea engulfs us and the light goes out." Beloved members of this community of all souls, change is inevitable in our lives and in our world and in this congregation. May the light of this chalice symbolize our sacred commitment to hold one another through it all. Come, let us worship together.
Indeed, let us worship together. My name is Keith Arnold, he, him. I'm All Souls Director of Music and Arts. This service that we have gathered here for today weaves elements of congregational care with the power of music. The gathering today does not divide between pulpit and congregation, but connects everyone here, whether online, in person, in one large circle together. This gathering of beloveds combines elements of All Souls Vespers services, including a Vespers choir, with the elements of the By Your Side Singers, All Souls' new congregational care choir that makes visits in groups of 2s and 3s to All Souls members who could use a song. There are times, have you had a time when you could use a song once or twice? I know I have. In all of this today, the invitation is there for you to join in the songs as you wish. You may know some of the songs, others you might not know. And so you can listen, you can sing, harmonize, sing descants, whatever you are led to do. If at some point in the service you feel drawn to join this choir, we will also put up a chair for you. Because there are no performers in this service. There is no audience. There's no perfection other than the perfection of us gathered together. As is traditional during the Vespers services and the By Your Side Singers visits, you are invited to remain seated for this service together. Those who are at home or online, a special welcome to you. You may wish to go find a candle for this service, as we will be lighting candles in the sanctuary later, and you are invited to join us. So, all of this being said, you're invited to take a deep breath into our time together. May this hour be one where we connect more deeply with ourselves and with one another, giving and receiving. I see trees of green, Red roses too, I see them bloom for me and for you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear daisies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful
Good morning, again, and welcome to All Souls Church Unitarian. My name is Shari Gilbert, she, her, and I'm your worship associate today. We gather at All Souls in person or on Zoom, accepting each other and ourselves as we are today, where we greet and embrace all gender identities, sexual orientation, abilities, race, creed, and religion. We gather to celebrate our successes with each other or to seek comfort when in pain. We gather to be present with ourselves and others on this day that has been given to us. If you're visiting us for the first time or still feel new, please raise your hand so that we can give you an All Souls welcome. The visitors, welcome. We'd like to take a brief moment of greeting. Stay seated in your pew and greet a neighbor or two nearby. We'll have time for more robust conversations after the service. And if you're on Zoom, open your gallery and wave to each other. Our weekly email bulletin is a great way to find out the latest news. So sign up through the link on on the All Souls homepage. More projection. Today we honor the great legacy of both indigenous and enslaved peoples at this intersectional crossroads we call Washington, D.C. For generations, Piscataway tribes have been the traditional caretakers of our bioregion. These people of the waters lived along the Anacostia and Potomac rivers. Our church has occupied 3 sites on stolen Native American lands within unjust systems
that continue to benefit from Black and immigrant labor. The heritage of all these ancestors is still here in this region and in our congregation. Our land acknowledgement sets an intention to educate ourselves and to acknowledge that something should be done to repair harm. But our commitment to beloved community and to the eighth principle also calls us to the doing. We are working with All Souls Social Justice Ministries to make our ideological solidarity concrete. As we move into a meditation on breathing, let us carry the spirit of our ancestors with us. And again, welcome to All Souls.
Press the button harder. All right. Good morning. My name is Laura Prophet. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the Director of Religious Education at All Souls. And today's Time for All Ages is a story about pictures. My question is, for adults and children, has anybody here ever drawn a picture? Have you ever drawn a picture that you wanted to give to someone? You might say happy birthday with a picture. You might say thank you. You might give a picture to someone you love. Drawing pictures is a way that human beings have communicated and shown care and concern for others for a long, long time. And our story today is about pictures. You may have seen them when you came in. There was one there, and two in the main doors. But you may not know the story behind these pictures. Where did they come from? Why do we have them? So these pictures, this story started 79 years ago. The United States dropped 2 atomic bombs on 2 cities in Japan. At that time, we were fighting each other. These were 2 of the most powerful weapons of the time. And when the bombs detonated, everything that was not made out of concrete or stone burned. Many people were killed and entire neighborhoods disappeared. All that was left in these cities were the stone or concrete shells of some of the buildings. The people of the city, and I'm talking about Hiroshima, began working to rebuild their community almost as soon as the fires went out. And many other people from neighboring communities came to help them. People from other parts of the world came to help them. Rebuilding an entire city when everything has been destroyed and there were very few supplies to use would take years. Now we're going to switch. At the same time, All Souls Church, the church we're sitting in right now, was considering what our responsibilities were. Our minister at the time, A. Powell Davies, was very well known. He was an advocate for peace and our Unitarian values of democracy, the idea that everyone should have a voice in things that concern them, the ideas that all of us were connected, and the idea that every person was responsible for living their values in the world, not just thinking about them. What were we going to do to help our neighbors in Japan after our country used these terrible weapons? Reverend Davies preached a sermon on these questions right here in this sanctuary. And this sermon was surprising for some people because we were involved in a war. Weren't the Japanese people our enemies? Why should we care? A newspaper article about this sermon reached U.S. military officials in Japan. And those officials got a message back to the minister here and said, if you want to help, please send school supplies to the children in Hiroshima. They have no school supplies. They have no crayons, no paper, no pencils. It's hard to do school when you have nothing to do it with. They want to go to school. This is how you could help care for our neighbors. So, All Souls did. Children helped gather over 1,000 pounds of school supplies. And we shipped them to Hiroshima. And one of the schools particularly was Hankawa Elementary School. The children got the supplies and they were able to draw again. They were able to write. They were able to create. And as a thank you to All Souls, students from the elementary school drew pictures and sent them to our congregation. We've kept these pictures for almost 80 years. The pictures you're seeing now are not the actual pictures. They're copies of the pictures because the real pictures are actually in museum storage. The pictures have traveled. They've gone to museums. They've been in art exhibitions. They've gone back to Japan so that the individuals who were children when they drew them could see them again as adults. And these visits, these traveling pictures, have helped create friendships between our congregational community and the elementary school where the pictures came from. 2 acts of caring: gathering and sending the supplies, which we did here, and creating pictures to say thank you, which the elementary schoolers did there, have helped people from these 2 different countries get to know each other. People from 2 different countries that were once fighting against each other are now working together to help other communities reconcile with their enemies and live in peace. This is a very brief version of the story, but you can learn the details from our website. You can also learn about the Heiwa Peace Project, which is an entire extended project that is still going on today that developed out of this exchange between All Souls and the elementary school. There's also an excellent documentary, which is going to be shown this afternoon at noon in the Eaton Room if you'd like to see it. It's a little over an hour. It's really good. And if you'd ever like to see the rest of the pictures, more than just the 4 here, you're welcome to come down to the first floor. The pictures are hung on the wall, all in the RE area. Now, it's time for our children to exit for RE. So if you're preschool through 5th grade, we're going to go out this door, and as we walk, we're going to go by some of these pictures. Now that you know the story behind them, let's take another look at them.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Reverend Maybelle Taylor Bennett, and my pronouns are she, her. I'm honored to be your liturgist today. And today we're going to highlight ministries that enrich congregational care for All Souls members, and you're invited to participate in them as your spirit leads you. We've already heard about the Hewa Project. This is the project that builds on what we heard from the Time for All Ages that we just heard. And we solemnly commemorate the 79th anniversary of the United States' unconscionable atomic bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Following that tragedy, as we heard earlier, a lasting connection was forged between the All Souls Church and the city of Hiroshima through the prophetic power of children's artwork. Following today's service, the All Souls Hewa Project will host a viewing of the documentary and that features this partnership called Pictures from a Hiroshima Schoolyard upstairs in the Eaton Room. And we're all invited to join our partners at the Hiroshima Nagasaki Peace Committee for an online vigil tomorrow evening. More information about this will be found in the church calendar. Another ministry, I was getting ready to call it a project, but it's a ministry, and that's the Vespers Ministry. It takes place on the second Wednesday of the month from September to June. And this is a lay-led evening Vesper service that takes place at 7:30. I have a special love for this service. This is the way I became reintroduced to All Souls Church. And it's a refreshing way to renew our sense of serenity during midweek when our lives can start to feel hectic and overwhelming. The service features chanting, meditation, and a reading that is based on the church's monthly theme for the month. The Vesper service is very special to me, as I mentioned. I was welcomed into this church by Michael Milano. Yes, I'm going to call you out. We were sitting behind each other, in front of each other, and behind each other, and we started singing, and we were singing in a complimentary way. And he turned to me and he said, would you like to join the Vesper service? And I said, don't mind if I do. Don't mind if I do. So we're looking and invite you if you would like to come and join us to sing. We welcome new singers, new musicians, and volunteers who would like to help us set up the service. Our next service will take place on Wednesday, September the 11th at 7:30. And then there's By Your Side Singers, who are with us today. And it is a new ministry that is joining us, that is a part of All Souls Church. And as Keith mentioned earlier, this is a congregational care choir that visits All Souls members in groups of 2 or 3 for singing and companionship. If you'd like to explore being a part of the By Your Side Singers. More information will be available in an upcoming newsletter on the website. New members, of course, are welcome. We have lost some people here in our congregation, one of whom was a very close friend of mine. She sang in the Vespers Village, and she was one of my co-tenors. We sang the tenor part when we could. You know, sometimes we could stay on tune, and sometimes we looked at each other and we just prayed through the whole thing. Her name is Mary Cagle, and she passed in the month of June. She passed following successful knee surgery, but 2 days later, her heart failed her. We also commend to the care of God the spirit of Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, Democrat of Texas, who was a member of the Congressional Black Caucus, who died on July 19th. And now we'll turn to congregational care. We're going to do something a little different this time. We're going to sing to those who we are lifting up as a community. And we will do so in a way where we're targeting them with loving energy. We'll begin with a joyful congratulations to Rachel Evans and Stephanie Potter, who welcomed their new son, Jonah Nash Potter, into the world on July 25th. Now, what I'm going to do is lead you first in what we will sing, and I think it's there. And then ask you to join me after we lift up each of the names that I have here. So, here we go. We are sending you light to heal you, to hold you. We're sending you light to hold you. Love. So Rachel Evans, Stephanie Potter, and Jonah. We are sending you light to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you light to hold you in love. And now we have 4 people who are here with us and are singing with us today. Eileen Finley, as she continues to heal and regain her mobility, all while supporting her father's intensifying care needs. Eileen, everybody knows Eileen. We are sending you light to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you light to hold you in love. Our beloved Gordon Kent is with us again today, and he continues his extraordinary healing journey. Through 28 surgeries, all while gaining strength and balance as he trains to use his prosthetic legs. We are sending you light to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you light to hold you in love. And to Michael Milano, my mentor, I'm going to try to hold it together, who has been in a period of profound transition to adapt to his new health reality. We are sending you light to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you light to hold you in love. And Fred Katz, Where is Fred? Who also sings with us in Vespers, and who is facing the possibility of needing thyroid surgery that could impact his speaking and singing. So we want to hold him up and surround him with loving energy. We are sending you light to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you light to hold you in love. We also hold up Laurie Carafone, whose husband was hospitalized this week. We are sending you light to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you light to hold you in love. We're lifting up Chris Prendergast as she mourns the loss of her partner, Ron, who passed away earlier this week. Chris was Ron's sole caregiver as he struggled with multiple chronic conditions over the past year. We are sending you light to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you light to hold you in love. And now I invite you to take a moment to lift up the names of people, loved ones, who are on your hearts, to lift up circumstances, situations, institutions that you believe could benefit from an infusion of loving energy. And for those of you who are on Zoom, we invite you to place those names of loved ones, circumstances, situations, institutions in the chat as we send them loving energy. We are sending you light to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you light to hold you in love. No matter where you go, no matter what you do, you'll never walk alone. My love will be with you. We are sending you light to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you light to hold you in love. No matter what you feel, what you choose to show, I'm always there for you. I want you always to know. We are sending you light to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you light to hold you in love. I'll walk the path with you. Go slow, dear one, no hurry. I'll go just like you need to go. There is no need to worry. We are sending you light to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you light to hold you in love. We are sending you light to heal you, to hold
Amen. Thank you, Reverend Maybell and Eileen. And thank all of you for that amazing flow of sung and silent prayer. My hope is that this whole service feels like a prayer, and that we can experience together during our regular Sunday morning worship time what it feels like to be held in care and uplifted in prayer by our spiritual community. To feel our collective connection, to feel the possibility of a trust that would compel us to offer care to and ask for care from one another. It requires deep presence to feel all this. And I think that our ability to be present with one another is the spiritual capability that we most need to develop as we seek to grow our shared ministry of congregational care. The capacity to sustain presence, which, let's be honest, is completely countercultural and goes against all of our societal conditioning. The capacity to sustain presence is something that we can develop. And it's something that we can nurture in ourselves through shared spiritual practices, like holding silence together and meditating together and singing together and lighting candles together. And we'll be doing all of this together this morning. Many of you have asked me over the last few weeks as I've been getting settled into this role, what's congregational care? And it's a good question. We should define our terms, or at least what we each believe the terms to mean, if we are seeking shared understanding and shared action. So, let me tell you what I think. Simply put, I believe that congregational care is how we show up for each other. How we show up for each other. I don't think it matters that much that we have the exact right thing to say, or the exact right thing to offer, or the perfect timing, or tons of training and protocols. I think it matters that we show up for each other. And that we show up with an intention to accompany one another, not to fix one another. And not even to solve one another's problems, although maybe sometimes we can. We show up with an intention to be present alongside one another on life's journey, through joys and sorrows, and triumph and tragedy, but also through the ordinary and everyday and often mundane realities of what it is to be human. Showing up for one another meets our most basic human desires to be known and to be remembered and to know that we are not alone, even if we are estranged from our family, even if we were laid off from our last job, even if we have lost a partner or a parent or a child or a best friend, even if we can feel our own health slipping away. In this place, we are not alone. We will find some people who will really become our people. People who will help us believe the fundamental truth that we are worthy of being loved and we are worthy of being held in care. This is the promise of congregational life. And one of the unique features of congregational care, fostered in a religious setting, is that we have an invitation to connect with one another on a spiritual plane, which, let's face it, is not always a safe plane on which we can connect with our friends or families or colleagues. Here, we can explore our deepest sources of meaning, our existential fears, how it is that we think of the divine or the afterlife or the lack thereof. We have the opportunity to live into the notion that a spiritual life is perhaps our most potent coping mechanism when we need to find some grounding amidst the ever-shifting sands that James Baldwin wrote about in the passage that I read earlier. So that's what I think congregational care means. Can you tell that I'm not very good at an elevator pitch? Unless it's a really tall building. I was brought into this role as your first ever and very part-time congregational care coordinator with a particular charge to help build a system of congregational care that would center and grow lay-led congregational care and decenter and decrease staff-led congregational care. And in the spirit of defining terms for those of you unfamiliar with church speak, lay in this case simply means a member of the congregation who is not a paid minister or staff member. So again, my charge was to build a system of congregational care that would increase and center lay-led congregational care and decrease and decenter staff-led congregational care. Now, let us be honest with one another that this particular charge was influenced by the significant budgetary reckoning that our board needed to lead us through this past spring. We have a meaningfully smaller staff now than we had last year or than we've had in any year in recent memory. I also happen to think it's the right thing for All Souls to be focused on. So the question then becomes, how do we conceive of this new system of congregational care? There are many different models out there, including some very structured lay minister programs. The National Unitarian Universalist Association offers lay care leader trainings. Safe to say, there's plenty that we can and will learn from what other congregations are doing well. We don't have to invent it all on our own. But the way I think about community organizing around a goal, which is what this is that the person in my position, the organizer, needs to first listen and learn about what's already happening. That's the process I'm in now. And I want to share some of what I've been hearing as I've been listening to you and learning from you. But before I do that, there's another thing that I want us to be honest with one another about. For the better part of the last decade, All Souls, iconic as it is, has been in a somewhat constant state of upheaval and transition, particularly at the ministerial and staff level. I know this because up until 1 month ago, I was a member of the All Souls congregation and not a member of the All Souls staff. And my friends, let us name that we are in another significant period of transition right now. I happen to think it's a very hopeful one, or I would not have said yes to this job. But it's a period of transition nonetheless. I hold a fear that coming out of the challenges of the last near decade and all the sometimes very public examination of strife at All Souls, I hold a fear that as we head into this new period of developmental ministry, we're at risk of adopting a mindset that everything needs to be fixed or changed or built anew. And I want to assert right now that that is just not the case, or none of us would still be here, right? And I want to suggest that it is most certainly not the case when it comes to congregational care. Over the course of the last month, I have reached out to many of you to ask you what you think the future All Souls congregational care system should look like. And what I keep hearing about is not some future vision, but it's about what you have been doing with and for one another all along, through upheavals, through staff and ministerial changes, and up to the present day. Through your covenant groups, and your affinity groups, and your geo groups, and your music ministries, and your social justice ministries, and your gardening ministries, and your children, youth, and adult spiritual development ministries. You have been providing such generous and heartfelt care to one another, including through the darkest days of pandemic quarantine. Some of you got really frustrated with staff and ministerial changes, and you stopped coming. But you kept being church for your All Souls people in the way that, as you now know, I think matters most, which is you kept showing up for one another. And let me just say that the doors of All Souls are always open, and we would welcome you back. Here are just a few of the things that I have heard from you. You have taken each other to doctor's appointments. You have visited each other at the hospital. You have sat in on fraught care team meetings with the children of your All Souls beloveds when hard decisions had to be made about their parents' care. You have named each other as next of kin and executors of your wills. You have dressed up in silly costumes and had dance parties when someone needed a boost. You have sung with one another. You have sent cards to one another. You have coached each other through salary negotiations and job changes. You have knitted mourning shawls and baby blankets for one another. You've offered babysitting so tired parents could go on a date. During the peak of the pandemic, you organized phone trees, sent each other video greetings, and called in wellness checks when you stopped hearing from someone. You have celebrated milestone birthdays, officiated weddings, held each other through divorces, been present for births, and been present for deaths. Beloved members of this beautiful and diverse and wonderfully complex community of All Souls, lay-driven congregational care is happening. And it's beautiful to hear about and to behold. And unlike our bell tower, it's not another thing that's broken and needs fixing. It's working. Now, does it need to be supported and amplified and grown? Yes. Would a whole lot of things benefit from being streamlined and documented? Yes. And I'll do that. Are more people than we would hope falling through the cracks because they haven't yet found their people, or because for any number of reasons they can no longer make it to the sanctuary on Sundays? Yes, absolutely. And this may well become my biggest area of focus. Related to this, Do we have a whole lot of new members thanks to incredible leaders like Donna Olson? I don't know where Donna is, but if we can just say. Yes. And we need to integrate them. So this means that those of us who do feel connected here need to take it upon ourselves to make sure that there are open chairs at the tables of each one of our smaller group ministries. And we need to invite people in. We can't just expect them to raise their hands or sign up. We need to invite them in. My hope is that in the coming year, we will come to see congregational care as the bedrock of All Souls, not a program unit that sits adjacent to other program units, but the thing that connects everything that we choose to do together as a community, internally and externally. Because everything that we do and all the ways that we choose to be with one another should be a manifestation of our much proclaimed love ethic. But we can't build beloved community if we cannot be beloved community with each other. I can't wait to hear so many more of your stories, to accompany you and to be accompanied by you. I can't wait to support all the ways in which you feel called to show up for one another. Thank you for giving me the honor of this opportunity to serve this community that I hold so dear. Thank you.
All right, so we would now like to invite you into a ritual practice that's taken directly from the Vespers liturgy. While we are going to be singing a series of simple songs that we invite you to join in with, we now ask for you to move into your own individual spiritual practice. You're welcome to get up and move about, or sit in silence. You're invited to come and light candles. We have an altar here in the front of the sanctuary, one to your right, to my left, and another in the rear, so that you can light candles representing your joys, your hopes, your fears, your sorrows. And the key here is to take your time. Take your time. You're invited to join us as well as we sing.
I just couldn't find my copy, so I was running around trying to get it, and thankfully she had a copy. Thank you. I want to say a quick thank you to Diane, who is Gordon Kent's cousin and extraordinary caregiver. Thank you for bringing everything, doing everything you do. Thank you. My 92-year-old mom was in hospice, and a volunteer came around singing to the patients. I requested that he sing Edelweiss, a family standard. Even though he mispronounced it as Idleweiss, it was still quite a moment. Mom stirred and murmured a little, so I'm pretty sure she heard it. She died a few days later, and we sang Edelweiss at her memorial service. It was so poignant. That was long before we had By Your Side singers here at All Souls. But the Caring Cards ministry was well established. And a few weeks after Mom died, I received a lovely sympathy card signed by many of you. I often stop by the Caring Card table, and it takes a minute to sign your name. It's such a quick and simple act, but when you receive a card, it's huge. The Caring Card table has been going strong certainly since long before I arrived at All Souls in 2009. I cannot imagine how many hundreds of cards have been written, signed, stamped, sealed, and delivered since the Caring Card's inception, but we know who has led the way. Marianne Anderson, who, here she is, has faithfully led this congregational care ministry for decades, including single-handedly keeping it going through the peak of the pandemic. She has a large bin where she keeps cards, all organized by theme: birthday, sympathy, illness. She keeps in her bin pens, stamps, a vase with flowers, and a cheerful table covering for the card table. She writes out a personal message to the recipient and sets out the cards on the table. She always has plenty of pens, so you can be signing lots of cards at once. And she has a membership roster, and if the congregant's picture is in there, she will show it to you, so you can put a face with a name. Marianne, we want to recognize you and thank you for your dedicated care ministry. And what better way to do so than by giving you a card? But this is not just any card, not any just regular card will do, so we found a really big one. And many people have already signed it. So what we'd like to do, Marianne, if we may, is to put this on the table after service in the Reeb lobby so others can sign this card for Marianne. Thank you, Marianne, again. Yeah. We now turn to this week's offering collection. While congregational care is fundamentally about providing accompaniment to each other, we also recognize that sometimes people have urgent needs that a small infusion of cash would help. Because of this, our August Share the Plate congregation is the All Souls Emergency Fund. The staff uses this fund to help congregants pay for housing, utilities, food, transportation, or other critical needs during tough times. Although the amounts are limited, occasional direct financial support is an important aspect of congregational care and recognizes that we are an economically diverse community. If you're in the sanctuary, the ushers will be passing the plate for your offering. You can also text All Souls by sending ASCU to 73256. If you're on Zoom, click the link in the chat, which will direct you to the All Souls online giving. This is another way that we show up for each other, and we invite you to give generously. Thank you.
Offertory song is a favorite of the By Your Side singers. It's one that I recently learned earlier this year, taught by one of the By Your Side singers. It's called Let the Waves Wash Over Me. We'd like to teach it to you now for our offertory song. Let the waves wash over me. Let the waves wash over me. I am already under. Let the waves wash over me. That's right. Let the waves wash over me. Let the waves wash over me. I am already under. Let the waves wash over. This is a great one for harmonies. Let the waves wash over me. Let the waves wash over me. I am already under. Let the waves wash over. There will be better days. There will be. There will be better days. Let's hear it. I am already. Let the waves wash over me. Let the waves. Let the waves wash over me. There will be better days. There will be better days. Let the waves wash over me. I am already under. Let the waves wash over me.
Beloveds, thank you for so faithfully holding this time together. I know that this was a different kind of Sunday morning service. So, in closing, may you carry the stillness and slowing down of this time into the rest of your day and into the coming week. May you hold tight to the sense of community that you have felt. If you have felt any longings for more connection, for more spiritual growth, for more care, may those longings be met. And may you leave knowing that you are worthy of being loved and of being held in care. May it all be so.
Singing, singing with you, singing with you is my prayer. Singing with you. Singing, singing with you, singing with you is my prayer. Breathing, breathing with you, breathing with you is my prayer. Being, is my prayer. Singing, singing with you.
Go in peace. Practice love. Please continue introducing yourselves to one another and join us for coffee hour in the lobby. The service has now ended. Thank you.